Overcrowding in prisons has become a big issue in today's society. We are running out of room and funding to keep people in jail, let alone to be able to add to the imprisoned population. I'm going to tell you about some of the ways we can improve our system so that overcrowding will not be as big of an issue, but first, here are 2 quick facts about overcrowding. According to penalreform.org, 22% of national prisons hold more than double their capacity. In most prisons, the prisoners do not even have the amount of recommended minimum space. Of these prisoners, how many do you think are drug offenders that are serving more than 1, 2, or even 5 years? One of the biggest ways to prevent overcrowding would be to send fewer people to prison for drug charges and lessen the sentencing for the ones that do go for drugs. Time off for participating in drug rehabilitation programs would benefit the inmate and the prison as well. Many prisoners can receive good time, but expanding that to where even more capable would help overcrowding. Another big aspect of overcrowding is recidivism. Criminals that keep coming back are obviously not getting the help that they need. As stated on justice.gov, identifying a criminal's individual needs can reduce their recidivism rate. By identifying the inmate's criminal history, substance abuse, and education level, the institution can use those factors to provide the best care for them and to monitor their progress. Research has proven that 43% of inmates that are involved in educational programs have low recidivism rates. Although the prisoner would still be in the facility in the first place, after they get out, they would free up that space. Every dollar spent on an education program for an inmate would save $4 or $5 on the cost of reincarceration. Within the educational programs, inmates should also learn important job skills. Inmates are 24% less likely to recidivate if they are working in prison industries and 14% more likely to be employed after being released from prison. Getting a job after being released from prison has known to be one of the hardest aspects of transitioning back into society. These programs would help them because they would be similar to the opportunities available to them outside of the prison. Speaking of the outside world, it would help inmates if the prison helped them maintain family ties as well. Being able to stay close with their families reduces recidivism, improves their likelihood of finding and keeping a job after being released, and helps the family members while being separated from their loved ones. This could be done by video conferencing calls, engaging children of incarcerated parents in youth programs, and educating inmates on how to keep in contact with their families better. Another way to help the overcrowding issue comes from NPR.org. It states that an inmate's behavior will change when they change the way that they think. Cognitive treatment programs can reduce recidivism rates by 25 to 35%. The methods I have stated so far should not be in place of imprisonment, but added to the process so that the impact is greater. This is giving them as much freedom as possible back. It is their choice to change the way that they think. The prison would just be encouraging it instead of just confining them and telling them what to do all the time. Treating them with respect will have more of an impact than people realize. An article in USA Today said that corrections officers should be trained to help reform inmates so that they do not come back rather than just being trained to maintain the facility and boss inmates around. Prisons should be looked at as behavioral change institutions rather than a warehouse for wrongdoers. Training the employees of the prison on topics like these will not only benefit the prisoner, but also benefit the officers' relations with the prisoners, and they can make the facility operate smoother. The corrections part of the criminal justice system must become a science. Some research has shown that therapeutic or a human service approach is likely to reduce recidivism by helping the inmates establish the skills they need to overcome barriers that push them to commit the crimes in the first place. Work release programs are helpful as well when it comes to recidivism. Most prisons have work release, but expanding the program to more inmates would be beneficial. For those of you who do not know, every work release program is a little different, so I can only speak on behalf of the Wichita area. But the idea is to help inmates transition from prison life back into community. This program allows trusted inmates to work outside of the prison and in the community. Some examples of the types of jobs that they might get are automotive repair, building maintenance, food service, electronics, printing, carpentry, landscaping, plumbing, and many more. They must maintain full-time employment and learn money management skills. They learn these skills by having to pay room and board fee, transportation expenses, court costs, restitution, dependent support, and outstanding debts. They pay their medical and dental expenses and the maintenance of their room. These inmates must also save part of the money they earn before they are released. Everything that I've stated so far would improve our overcrowding problem here in the U.S. It may not be ever fixed completely, but by starting these programs, we could definitely make a significant impact.